Hey guys, my name is Jack Hall, and you're doing an introduction for the Appraisal Report project. So we chose a property in Greenville on 609 Jacobs Road, Greenville, South Carolina, zip code 29605. We chose this property just because we thought it would be a good residential property, has a lot of comparable houses next to it that we could use for the sales comparison approach, as opposed to an income or cost approach would be used for different purposes. So we thought this would be good. Here's some photos of the subject property. As you can see, it has a sizable lot, and yeah, it has a good interior from the pictures you see. It got remodeled recently, which added to its value, as you'll see in the coming slides. It's a single-family home, residential, as I said earlier, has a lot size of an acre, which adds to the property value, as you can see. Our property was sold previously in 1986 for $135,000. It's currently listed at $250,000, and that's because in 2013, 2014, a lot of additional renovations were done, which add to its value. For that figure, $136,281, which is the appreciation price. And also it added to the price per square foot, as it nearly doubled over the course of its life due to additional economic activity in the Greenville area, and as well as the previously mentioned renovations that were done in 2013, 2014.
Okay, we chose comparable property too because it's located within 1 mile of our subject. It fits all of our criteria, and it has a patio. We chose comparable property 3 because it has a brick exterior with hardwood floors on the inside. It has 3 beds and 3 baths, which is identical to our subject. We chose comparable property 4 mainly because of its location. It's located within 2 miles of our subject, and it has 4 beds and 3 baths. All right, we chose comparable property 5 because of its location. It's located within 1 mile, and it has 0.86 acres, which out of all the comparables, it's the closest in terms of lot size to our subject. We chose comparable property 6 because this home has a brick exterior with hardwood floors on the inside. It has 3 beds and 2 baths. It's located within 3 miles of our subject. Okay, for adjustments, we adjusted beds, bath, square footage, garage, deck, patio, and then market growth, and then year built. We adjusted the deck and patio. We found the value of a deck and subtracted that from the value of patio, and then we adjusted that amount downwards by $7,000 on comparables 1, 3, 4, and 5. We adjusted for market growth to counteract the price appreciation for the market growth in Greenville. We adjusted square footage by subtracting the square footage of our subject from each of our comparables, and then multiplying that by the price per square foot. We didn't adjust for lot size because it's already priced in for price per square foot, because when you're paying for a home with large or with more land, you're paying a higher premium. So that's what we considered. And then after those variables were adjusted, we adjusted year built. We did this last to get a more accurate result for our adjustment, and our average adjusted price was $247,609.
So here we can see we have the replication cost data for our home, and we use the costtobuild.net website in order to find this value. And our appraised replication cost of the home ended up being roughly $164,415, including material and labor. Up next, we have the cost approach, which we use the estimated replication cost. And after we have that, which was from the previous slide, we were going to deduct the estimated accrued depreciation, which is found by using the estimated useful life and the amount of remaining years. So we do 164,415 divided by 100 years times 10 equals 16,441.50 for estimated accrued depreciation. We subtract that from the estimated replication cost to get the depreciated cost of building, which is 147,973. And then we add the estimated value of land of 44,483 in order to get the indicated value from the cost approach, which will eventually get us to $192,457. Lastly, the income approach with direct capitalization, we find the average monthly rent for the 3-bedroom home in Greenville is $1,122, with a projected gross income of $1,122 times 12 is roughly exactly 13,464. We're going to subtract the vacancy and collection losses of $300 to give us an EGI, or earned gross income, of $13,164. Using that EGI, we'll subtract the operating expenses, capital expenditures to give us our net operating income of $12,164. We also have to take into account for the local average cap rate of 8%. In turn, we end up with the estimated value of $152,050.
So here we'll be going over the income approaches. First off, with direct capitalization. Now, some of the assumptions of our model, the most important one, is that the average monthly rent in a comparable 3-bedroom home in Greenville would be about $1,122. Now, when you take it to an annual scale, it gives you potential gross income of $13,464 for the entire year. Now, of course, we're going to have some vacancy and collection losses, which we will assume will be around $300 in this instance, giving us an effective gross income for the year of $13,164. Now, after deducting operating expenses and capital expenditures, in this case there are none, you get an NOI of $12,164, and using the local average cap rate, which we got from comparable properties available in the area, you get an estimated value of $152,050. Now, the next method is of direct cash flows, and that is less to explain because it's more mathematical, but the assumptions we went with for our model was a 10-year holding period of the property, and your NOI, like we calculated earlier, will be $12,164, given a discount rate of 7%. And the NOI will remain constant, and then that gives us the value at the end of the holding period of $141,506.
I'm going to compare the similarities and differences between the current crisis that we're going through and the crisis of 2007. It's important to note that the key difference between the two is that this financial crisis was onset by the coronavirus. Lately, there's been a new disease that has changed the world that we live in, the coronavirus. It began in Wuhan, China, toward the end of 2019 with the suspected consumption of a bat which contained the virus, and it's halted almost all business and growth in the US and global economy. The disease is another mutation of the severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS, another virus that originated in China and has threatened our way of life. Because of the coronavirus, most businesses have been forced to shut down and their employees made to stay home to prevent the spread of the virus. This has caused a severe hit for most industries, with stocks at lows not seen since the collapse of 2007. But what is more concerning to the individuals of society is the impact on healthcare. Coronavirus attacks the respiratory system, and many of those who become infected are put on ventilators to maintain their breathing. But the number of those in need is projected to surpass the number of ventilators available, meaning that doctors are now going to have to decide who gets help and who doesn't. In the crash of 2007, the cause was a bubble that existed in the housing market. The financial industry became extremely deregulated, allowing banks to engage in hedge fund trading with derivatives. Banks then needed more mortgages to support their sale of these derivatives and called them interest-only loans. These became easy enough for subprime borrowers to afford. This meant that people without steady income jobs could get loans for the purchase of houses that they would never have been able to pay off. And in 2007, house prices fell drastically as the supply of homes exceeded the demand, causing homeowners who were unable to make payments to be unable to sell their houses. essentially trapping them. Eventually, banks could no longer lend each other money, which caused the Great Recession of 2007. We have found that there are more differences than there are similarities in the comparison of the different financial crises. In our analyzation, the root cause of each crisis are fundamentally different. In 2007, if banks had taken another approach to support their sale of derivatives, or even enact a slightly more restrictive approach with having only slightly lower requirements to obtaining a loan for a house, then perhaps the resulting financial crisis could have been avoided or simply been less impactful. In the current financial crisis, precautions would have been more difficult to implement. However, there is a similarity in the origins of both crises. The similarity we have found is that in both instances, the issue that started the crisis was an issue of regulation. The coronavirus is thought to have began in Wuhan, China, because people were consuming wild bats. In Wuhan, there are large markets of street vendors who sell wild animals for public consumption. This outdoor market has little to no regulation. The meat is not required to be fresh or from a trustworthy source, and virtually anyone can go out and obtain animals to be sold to the public. To avoid this crisis, the Chinese government could have imposed laws requiring the street vendors to meet certain regulation requirements on the products that they sell to the public. This would have ensured that people were not consuming animals that could carry infectious diseases. And perhaps this could have been less catastrophic to not only the citizens of China, but everyone in the world. The impact of the coronavirus has proven to be a tremendous setback to the global economy. The prices of some goods have become cheaper, like gas, while the prices of many other goods and services have become much more expensive. The prices of medical supplies have skyrocketed, as well as the prices of sanitizing products. While prices are fluctuating, the stock market prices have hit record declines. With the majority of people's money invested in the stock market, the value of people's liquid assets has plummeted. This has greatly changed the buying power of consumers as they now have less money to spend. The most important steps to help our economy, as well as overall welfare, are those that have helped to limit the spread of the coronavirus. However, the Federal Reserve has taken further steps to aid the economy and the welfare of individuals. The Fed has lowered interest rates to zero, engaged in large purchases of assets, and injected liquid assets into financial markets. Mostly the actions taken by the Federal Reserve serve to cushion the fall as much as possible to prepare to bounce back as the virus is dealt with. In addition to these actions, they have begun to send checks out to people who make less than a certain income each year, or to people who have children under the age of 17. The policy actions taken serve to meet the immediate needs of the people, giving them money to accommodate for the losses of their steady streams of income. The virus could have a negative impact on the housing market as well. People now have less money to spend on homes and will likely demand smaller homes, cheaper homes, or homes that aren't in areas that are so densely populated as the homes they would purchase outside of the current pandemic. So the price of homes have been on a recent decline from what they usually would be priced at in an effort to encourage the purchasing of new homes. But people are less confident now in the market system, with frequent talk of long-lasting recession, a soaring rise in unemployment, and a declining stock market. People are less likely to spend money on a new home right now. While in most instances across the country this is the case, the properties we have chosen are located in Greenville, South Carolina, where the demand for new homes still exceeds the supply. If the current epidemic continues for several more months with no near end in sight, it is likely to cause a lowering in these prices. However, as of now, the prices of homes in Greenville seems to be unaffected.